Hey, if I sound winded, it's because I've been running around here. We've been testing, making sure that everything works. We have, Alex Jones on the show today, and I would appreciate. Look, I know that many of you have different opinions. Let me just give you a little bit of a rundown here. I was not an Alex Jones fan for a very long time. I made it known. I had criticized him here on this show, and I still have criticisms of him. But we're at a point right now, and we'll be talking about this today. We'll be showing you a montage of the end zone dance from not only the elites in Hollywood, not only the elites in media, but the elites in government. Government officials actually championing this silencing of speech. And that is absolutely what it is. Regardless of where you line up, there's an inflection point right now in this country. And the reason that we're having Alex Jones on, and we've had him on, is because I hate seeing people being bullied. I hate seeing a pile-on. Even if you think he's said some things that are reprehensible, and we'll get into the things that he said that he regrets and he's apologized for ad nauseum, I just can't believe that we have people in this country, let alone people who are comedians or people who are supposed to be servants of ours, champion the silencing of someone speaking. And there's a very strong message that is being sent right now, and that's why this episode is largely going to focus on this. It's going to be what they call a deep dive, the kids, on the systematic, I guess you would say, expulsion of people for wrongthink and how deep it runs. And the idea that you can just go and start your own business. And most important is, when you have someone like Alex Jones, who, if you've watched his career, and I do consider him a friend now, I will say this on a personal level. He's been around, from what I know of him, he's a good man, a flawed man. He's talked about it here on air. To me, it's refreshing when he's on air. He was on air on Ash Wednesday and said, maybe I drank a little too much and, I have it. He'll tell you about his flaws. But for a man who speaks publicly for hours on end, and then misspeaks or gets something wrong, and then apologizes, and then is punished anyway, and then the government jumps in. People, well, I guess former press secretary, but current members of the government and entities who are backed by the government, be it banks, be it big tech organizations, deciding to put you in stocks in the town square. The message is really loud. And I hope that you're hearing it. If you make a mistake, not only is there a double standard, which we'll talk about, if you have a belief that other people find to be offensive, and of course that's a sliding scale. We know that we've gone further and further down the trail here. Look behind you, there's a slippery slope. And you apologize anyway. They only get worse. What do I mean they? The left. I mean the left. Why is it left or right? They've made it left or right. There is no one on the right, and no one here in this studio who would end zone dance because of a worthy adversary being silenced, and certainly not if they apologized and said that they were wrong. We've hosted those people on this show. People like Naomi Wolf, people like Alex Jones, actually. If you say something that they in power deem to be unacceptable and apologize dozens of times and correct the record, you can still have your life ruined anyway. People fought for their lives for a very long time, but you know what that really means? Your livelihood. Make no mistake, when government-backed entities can take away your livelihood, should it be that you decide to purchase ammo off of PayPal, or decide to, as a doctor, question the efficacy of a vaccine, or even just run a clip from a Pfizer executive herself and you get removed, or you're a host on air, and you speak your opinion, wrong as it may be, and then apologize, and you can be punished, removed, and your livelihood eviscerated. Wars were fought for less than that. And I'm not, of course, really clearly not advocating war just before the CNN folks want to run a highlight reel. I am giving you, hopefully, the scope, the depth of the problem that we're dealing with here. Your livelihood is something. You shouldn't feel guilty when it's at risk, and it's at risk for a lot of people. It's something certainly worth fighting for, and it's something that people have fought for. Look at any huge, great, and I say great, I mean the Great War, The Great War, right, is what they called it before they had World War I and II. Then they said, well, I guess we have to separate it. We can't really call it the Great War. We'll call it World War I and II. I'm not saying wars are great. I'm using the term here. Look at any epic war, battle. They were fought over what? No, not just religion. Land, resources, access to water. Why? To preserve your livelihood. And we now try and separate that and say, hey, well, businesses can do whatever they want. Well, they're not businesses if they're an arm of the government. And you know what? Removing your livelihood is tantamount to trying to end your life. Let's be clear about that. Okay, well, you know what? I guess I'll go start my own. Media account. Well, no, can't do that. We're going to find that out of business. I guess I'll have to take donations. Can't do that. We're going to remove your ability to take donations. I guess then it's just back to standard banking and wire. You can't do that. You're removed from a bank. I don't care if you agree with Alex Jones or not. Doesn't matter. And by the way, this is so clear. It's so obvious that that's a big reason that the court said you cannot argue that this is political persecution. Do you understand this trial was predicated on that? He wasn't even allowed to argue that because he didn't provide additional finances. I'm not saying mistakes weren't made across the board, but I hope that all of you understand the gravity of this situation. There are some silver linings here right now in this country, and we try to come to you as happy warriors. But make no mistake, today is a day where we need all of you to be warriors, because if they can remove the livelihood of not only Alex Jones, but they can remove the bank account of Kanye West, several other people, by the way, also on PayPal, and these are organizations that are backed with federal guarantees and a never-ending supply of your tax dollars. You are at a point in this country where you are paying taxes to fund the theft of food from the mouths of your kids, all under the guise of, First Amendment only protects the government stopping you from saying something. That's all it does. It prevents the government from stopping you. Okay. By that same token, shouldn't JP Morgan, shouldn't JP Chase, whatever their abbreviation is, these things are all these giant conglomerates, if they're backed by our tax dollars, if they're guaranteed, if they've received hundreds of billions of dollars, and if you adjust for inflation in the last few months, hundreds of trillion dollars in taxpayer dollars, are they allowed to deny you your fundamental constitutional rights? What point do we separate private business from government? And I say this as someone who doesn't trust big government. But one of the roles of government, the only legitimate role of government, I would argue the only legitimate role that falls under the purview of our government, is to protect the citizens from external threats. That means wars. That means from tyrants abroad, and internal threats. And how do we determine an internal threat? Well, the good news is we have a handbook. It's the Constitution. And that's not hyperbole. That's not just rhetoric. It is meant to be our way of life. And people are wiping their asses with it. So I don't care. I want you to try and separate your opinions from the man today. I want you to try and separate your opinions from maybe the views that have been expressed, and understand that this is something that is permeating right now. This is a very pernicious, it's like the never-ending story, the nothing. It will destroy everything it touches, and you have got to put aside. This is the thing that the left does so well. I'm sorry I'm going long in this cold open. Go with me here. Hit the like button if you can. Share this show. Comment, because you know YouTube's going to make sure that you cannot find this anywhere. Go and search Steven Crowder, Alex Jones, Ash Wednesday. At least up until a couple days ago, the video that we did with him wouldn't have popped up. Maybe they've changed it now that some eyeballs are on it. This is, it's more important than just taxes. And it's one of the few legitimate roles of government. And we do need right now government to actually start doing their job, their only job. Again, that falls under their purview, in protecting you, the citizens, from external threats, but more importantly, having representatives, having people who protect you from them. And you know what was supposed to be a safeguard against that? This is what's so brilliant about the Constitution. You know what's supposed to be a safeguard against that? If the government should become corrupt? Well, there's also supposed to be freedom of the press. Why? So that they can call the government to the mat. They can hold them accountable. Think that's what's happening now? Think that's what's happening now When they've rescheduled their programming to give you another January 6th hearing, last time they canceled it, by the way, you can go and watch our stream on that, 3.5 hours, the ins and outs. So we have your right to speak freely. Well, that's gone. Then we have the freedom of the press. They're not interested in that. It comes down to you. It comes down to what you can do, your voice, and who you elect and who you hold accountable. This is the issue. This is the same issue that, by the way, determines whether you can bank, determines whether you can choose to hire who you want to hire, that determines which institutions in which you can take part, and determines, by the way, where you can speak, determines if you're allowed to keep your kids, if you choose to not put them on puberty blockers, you remove the ability for you to speak. And it starts with someone else who you go, well, that's not me. That's far more offensive. That's way beyond the pale. That may be. But Alex Jones is not the only one. They want to make an example of him because they want, do you feel that? Everyone feel that? Everyone feel that tension? Everyone feel that fear? That's not something that we felt here in this country. I get it. Barack Obama, horrible president. Liar, makes up words, we beat up. Hilarious because he's such a bullshit artist. But the tension of, oh man, I might lose my bank account. I might be fined $2,500 if I purchase ammo legally on PayPal. That tension right now, people are going, what can we say, what can we not say, or lose our livelihood? That's a first. That's a first. And that can't stand. And that's why we're doing the show we are today. Let's go.
Hey guys, Whistleblower again. Over the past few weeks, late night hosts have all had to quarantine and do their shows from home. This is a very noble thing to do in a time of public health crisis such as... Hold on. Let's zoom in on that. More. Just as I thought. It's the same wall. They thought we wouldn't notice, but this smoking gun tipped me off.
It will disappear.
We remember that. We're not goldfish.
Well, Trump has the memory of a goldfish who smokes weed.
Do they really expect us to believe that with multi-million-dollar budgets and hundreds of writers that they're just this unoriginal? No, they haven't been quarantined at all. They've been forming a secret cabal aimed to destroy late-night comedy with terrible writing and apathetic production value, and they hold all their meetings in a rented bedroom of the Mark Twain house. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm just gonna plug my GoFundMe here again. I just signed the lease on a new apartment after getting that MCN deal, but it turned out to be a bit of a scam. I lost my whole life savings. Whistleblower out.
This fall, prepare for two rebels with a cause. The Rebels with a Cause comedy tour. Tickets on sale now at louderwithcrowder.com/tour.
The hell's the difference?
Is that your pissed off sip?
I apologize.
This is very
we've had
quick.
a lot of good days,
Yeah.
a lot of big wins, and I hate it when people are just woe is me, everything is dark. That's not true. But this is when you see what's happened in the last 48 hours alone. I'm pissed. I really shouldn't be in this hosting chair because I still, wake up like a boiled prawn. I was 11 pounds down now I'm 6 pounds back up with the fluid. So thank you for all your well wishes. I appreciate it. By the way, today we have Alex. We'll also be going to Mug Club. Please do consider joining up. louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. It's $99 annually, $69 for students, veterans, active military. You get the wonderful mug and you get the extra full 100% extra show. And I'm doing the percentage because it's basically the show times 2.
It is, yes.
So it's like you're getting 50% of a show, but it's better to say you get 100% of a show, and then there's another, so it's 200%.
Which is impossible.
I don't know. I'm not a math Asian.
Someone didn't grow up planting rice.
That's true.
I learned that yesterday.
Corn and rye. Yeah, I'm American, damn it. I'm going to give it 110%. Oh, so you're a liar.
You were holding back.
Yeah, you were holding back and just saying.
Yeah.
That's all I got. It's not all you got.
So we have a lot to get to today. Originally, we would have been doing the January 6th, obviously the streaming of the hearing.
I'm sorry, is there a thunderstorm? They may cancel it.
Yeah, they may cancel
move it to.
No, the entire media canceled it so that they could all run it today.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
did
yeah,
3.5 hours. Remember, the attitude there was we said, screw it, we're doing it anyway because we prepared. We'll recirculate that. Go and watch that. Go watch that today. Maybe we could just stream that again on the channel today while the hearing's going on so people can watch it.
Just so we could make fun of them.
Yeah, and if you're not a member of Mug Club, sorry, we can't take your chat, but please, Mug Club, send in your questions that you have for Alex Jones. We'd like to ask some of your questions because I know there are a lot on your mind right now. We'll give you the ins and outs, but always helps to hear from you, the little person. Now,
Yeah, and you could put our video up against this and see how close we were. Like
Yeah.
when you
Yeah, I was
put-
about to say,
you
we
put-
probably nailed it.
Yeah, put Pink Floyd up.
that
with,
actually
like,
might
the
not be a
Wizard of
bad
Oz.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
say,
Pink Floyd. Yeah, that's Dark Side of the Moon and Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, it's like you probably could make it work.
So, all right.
By the way, they're doing the Parkland shooting. They reached a verdict that they're going to announce. Isn't it just guilty and fry 'em? I mean, I thought this was a pretty closed.
Let me know when we have the broadcast Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the guy's dead, so, but, you know.
Maybe some facts about what
Maybe
happened
about
would be
Sutherland
helpful.
Springs, fifth deadliest in American history. Look, there's a reason that media is trying to determine the rules and guidelines here on YouTube, and that's why nothing would make me happy. It's a live show, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. You can watch it here on YouTube. I would love for you to watch it on Rumble. I would love for you to watch it on Mug Club. And by the way, you could see, just so you know, the numbers lower on YouTube because they're much higher on Rumble and they're much higher on Mug Club.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine
Take
what
the
we
number
say
that you see on
those?
YouTube now and more than double it.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of people have migrated. If you have not yet, that's totally fine. We want to make sure that you have the free content available. I know some people are in countries where maybe you're not able to access the apps or maybe Rumble doesn't necessarily work as well for you. But if you don't eventually join another platform, you do lose your right to bitch. Just like if you don't vote, you can't bitch. If you don't support the people who are trying to give you what it is that you want, and we can't create our own platform, but Rumble has. And of course, we have Mug Club right now, where you get access to the entire Blaze catalog. There's a whole bunch of programming there. You lose your right to bitch. So we do appreciate the support, and we'll be talking about things that would get us banned on YouTube. Dave and I, of course, are on the Rebels with a Cause tour, Nashville, November 12th, Ryman Auditorium. We added a 9:30 show. So that's
Did
also
you say
something.
Robbles?
Rebels.
Is that what I said?
We're going to be
Rabble,
Robbles.
Rabble.
We're going to be robbling around.
The Goebbels without a cause.
Gerbils.
How many Jews does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Yes. We're hamburglers with
Well, stop this one. I talked myself into a corner. There's no good way to tell this joke. And then Baltimore, December 3rd, because we couldn't find a venue in D.C. Sorry, you have to go to the shithole that is Baltimore. But hey, at least it's not Haiti.
or DC.
Yeah, or D.C. No, Baltimore's worse than D.C.
Is it?
It's D.C. without any of the charms.
Well, I mean the people.
Sure. And you can go to louderwithcrowder.com/tour to buy tickets. So we'll be talking about Alex Jones today. We'll be talking about the insane double standard of the fines that Alex Jones has had to pay. We will be talking about the backing by the government for all these entities who are going after Alex Jones. And, of course, we will be talking about the left has a new dating app to compete with conservative dating, the dating app that has been released. Thank you so much for filling in, both of you. But Gerald A., thanks. You did a great job yesterday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm glad I'm back in my chair.
Great. You ready? You fired up?
I'm ready. Absolutely. We're
Okay.
talking with Alex in about 10 minutes.
I know.
Not
Can
long.
we see if they can wait an extra 10 minutes just because I gave him one hell of an intro.
True.
And then we have Dave Landau. He filled in Monday, Tuesday. Thank you, sir. How are you?
Good. Ahoy. I'm fine.
All right.
I've been black-pilled for years. Let's do this.
Yes.
Might as well go out with a bang, Dave.
Right. I'm just saying, watch me be right.
Well, that's the thing. He just said he's been banged for years.
Yep.
So we have, I guess not so much of a pill as it is an injection. Why am I doing this? I'm still a little sick. I'm sick physically, but that
am I
makes me
doing
sick in the head.
myself?
As my grandfather, my French-Canadian grandfather used to say, "He's sick, malade." And I never knew what that meant. Malade means sick.
Yeah.
He was trying to say you're sick in the head.
Yeah.
So I would say that for years as kids. When I thought someone being crazy, I'd go, "He's sick, malade." People are like, oh, your son's retarded.
Yeah. Is this why you were bullied?
Yes. Among many reasons.
And molested by your
I, too, was black-pilled.
Yes, your tutor.
Now, and I wasn't doing laundry with the black pillar either. We didn't
No.
become friends over the Celtics and the Lakers.
Oh, I guess you knew the same pillar.
All right, let's watch and react really quickly. You know what? Let's just do that tomorrow. I think the watch and react. We have to move into this. So I don't know if you know this, but there is a dating app. Obviously, you guys might have known about this. And comment below what you think this Alex Jones thing means for free speech. I mean, I'm sure that the chat's just going to be lighting up in the comments on YouTube.
Yeah.
Comments, shares, likes, they help the algorithm. If you don't want to join Mug Club, that's what you can do is you can go click. And I know some of you are like, it burns. But you know what? Toughen up.
Doesn't burn.
Monday, I think Dave talked about there's the new conservative dating app, The Right Stuff. And if you don't remember, here's a refresher.
Why do you want to date a conservative?
For me, at least I know that we're going to start off with some shared values.
Well, the conservative men I've dated at least know how to treat me like a woman.
In my personal experience, conservative guys have better manners.
I like that they understand their role in the relationship as a man.
I just prefer my men to be masculine.
And what's the biggest red flag when it comes to dating?
A Democrat.
No Democrats.
A Democrat.
Can't be a Democrat.
A Democrat.
That's easy. A Democrat.
No Democrats.
Nailed the
It's a no.
demographics.
Very diverse.
Find the right match. Download The Right Stuff today.
There's going to be someone, I mean, they have every group there. Someone wheel out in a wheelchair. I like Republicans.
Yeah, they gave an Indian girl a tanning bed and were like, come back when you're real black.
It's Native American.
I'm sorry, Native.
I think we were both wrong.
Wait.
Well,
This is a bad day.
Oh,
Now,
Italian.
Here's the thing: we actually wanted to get into the dating game because the Daily Wire can't be the only one to collect all those dollars, all those gold coins. So we got into the dating app game, but there's a different approach, and that's because look, this is just market. This is just the market. I don't care that I'll make money off of liberals. So now that we've created a left-wing dating app.
Today, we brought in a group of liberal young women to get their thoughts on what they look for in a he-him partner. What do you look for in a partner?
He's got to be in touch with his feminine side.
They have got to be tolerant and sensitive.
Well, he's got to be a cat person.
Why do you want to date a liberal man?
They're all vaxxed and boosted.
Well, I absolutely love minorities.
Well, liberal men all know how to look past my burden.
Love's in the air.
What is the biggest red flag when it comes to dating?
A MAGA bro.
Alt-right gag.
Yeah, not a Nazi.
He can't be a Nazi.
A Nazi.
A Nazi. A fat Nazi.
Jews.
Find out what slim pickings are still available at this point in your life. Go download The Leftovers today. Available on the App Store and Google Play. Brought to you by George Soros.
That's my face on the app.
Yeah, I know, it's wonderful.
That's not okay.
By the way,
I would
have been worried about that being taken out of context until I realized that we did transgender breastfeeding Hitler on the show. So wouldn't be the first swastika armband.
He was also on the Grinder Denier.
I
This
know.
guy's all over the place.
I believe it's chest feeding.
Yes, chest feeding. Now they have tampon dispensers in men's bathrooms in some places. And yeah, it's just,
What do we use them
It's just
for?
rolled up fast food napkins. Now, Alex Jones will move. We have to, because I want to make sure we give him the floor. For those of you who don't know, if you've been living under a rock, the verdict is in from a second trial.
The jury ordered right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones to pay nearly $1 billion in damages for falsely claiming they were actors who faked the tragedy.
Parents who lost their young children and then faced a decade of torment. Far-right InfoWars host Alex Jones to pay nearly $1 billion in damages.
8 families and a first responder sued the far-right conspiracy theorist for the lies.
$965
million in damages to the families of 8 victims of the Sandy Hook massacre, which he repeatedly called a hoax. He tormented these families. He accused them of faking their children's deaths.
By the grace of God, sometimes bad things happen to Alex Jones. And that That's a good thing.
Now go get that money for those parents, you disgusting pink garbage person.
Hey, what about the money for the dentist who almost got killed because you blamed him for hunting lions, which, by the way, is the main mode of
economic
freedom in play? Where was it? Was it Zambia?
Africa, I just can't remember which.
Yeah, Africa's a continent, Gerald.
Yeah, I understand that. I was
The
narrowing it
whole
down
continent.
Was it Mozambique? Yes. Remember Cecil the lion when he went out crying?
Southern Hemisphere somewhere?
Yeah, there were 50-something lion eatings that year in that municipality.
Exactly.
And this is the point that I want to get to. Look, Alex Jones screwed up in some areas, and he's been on the show, and he's apologized for them, okay? We all make mistakes, and Alex Jones has evolved quite a bit. But he did not call those parents by name and torment them, as you've heard these people say. He did not do that. He did not call out the parents by name. He did not torment them. He did not demand that his followers go and harass these people. So you can disagree with some of the things that he said. You can disagree with some of the conspiracies, of course, and I do. But you can't support this verdict based on a lie. And I will tell you this, any comic or comic host who champions this is no friend of mine. Line in the sand. You're a comedian? Oh, you think socialism's good? We'll talk about, I'm going to talk about Bill Burr here next week and his support for socialism. You can't separate it. Name me one socialist country that's ever existed that allowed for freedom of speech. One, ever. Even the Nordic models, which really aren't, the Norwegian socialist models, which, by the way, aren't all that socialist. So, Alex Jones made mistakes. He made some bad ones. He apologized. But there are some examples, and it's not, the standard for whether you live in a free country is not if there's a law or if law exists. It's whether the law is applied equally. And it's not even close. While we're talking about the double standard, we can point you to some lies that have taken place just in the last month, 2 months, that have actually killed people with the full-throated support of the government. So let's go to here. Here's a claim, for example, that was made for a long time. A claim now that could have been wrong or it could have been a lie. I don't want to get banned from YouTube because maybe it'll be considered misinformation if I say I believe it was a lie. Why? Because there are so many people involved with getting it wrong that no one even seemed to fact check it. But speed of science and what have you. You had politicians, you had journalists, you even had the Pfizer CEO. They made this claim. It was Bourla. Albert Bourla. They claimed that the vaccine stopped transmission. This is the claim. Believe your lying eyes.
Your choice not to get vaccinated and to listen to these pundits that are profiteering off misinformation, intentionally misinforming you, comes at a real societal cost.
We have in hand all the vaccines we need to get every American fully vaccinated, including the booster shot. So there's no excuse for anyone being unvaccinated. This continues to be a pandemic.
No, but there are plenty of reasons.
Unvaccinated. So we got to make more progress.
That was this year, July 4th.
Who still haven't gotten your kids vaccinated.
Happy 4th.
Please get them vaccinated.
Freedom.
Look out for their interest here. It's the best way to protect them.
The only conclusion one can reasonably come to from looking what I've told you over the last
that
few
you have
minutes
soulless eyes
is please get vaccinated. It will protect you against the surging of the Delta variant.
Instead of the virus being able to hop from person to person to person, potentially mutating and becoming more virulent and drug resistant along the way.
Or
now
less.
we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person.
We know.
And the real-world data that we are getting from Israel and other studies will help us understand this better. But there are a lot of indications right now that are telling us that there is a protection against transmission of the disease.
Okay.
Oh, really? What data?
So
That's
I want to
Hans Gruber voice. You
Yes.
can trust.
Then, of course, some of you are saying, "Well, no, they just said that it would reduce hospitalizations." No. All references available at loudwithcutter.com. You can go and watch the full context of those clips. They said it stopped transmission. People got vaccinated, and by the way, in Europe, people below certain age thresholds, depending on they don't do the vaccine. Because they have said there are certain categories of people, certain demographics of people, where the risk doesn't outweigh the reward. Not saying, because we don't want to be banned from YouTube, feel that tension? Feel that fucking tension that shouldn't exist? When we quote the CDC, when we quote doctors on this godforsaken platform, please, for the love of all that is holy, go over to Rumble and Mug Club. Please, just please. I don't want to have to tread lightly on this shit. So they said no, it stopped transmission.
Yeah.
Here's the truth. There's no way they could have known that. Ask me how I know.
How do you know, Stephen?
We talked about this yesterday, but I was still sick and on flu medication, so it didn't fully dawn on me. Janine Small, Pfizer's president of International Developed Markets, whatever the hell that means, revealed they knowingly lied on a massive scale, and the media and the government carried their water as it related to how much evidence? Any evidence about the vaccine and transmissions.
Was the Pfizer COVID vaccine tested on stopping the transmission of the virus before it entered the market? If not, please say it clearly. If yes, are you willing to share the data with this committee? And I really want a straight answer, yes or no, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Regarding the question around, did we know about stopping immunisation before it's entered the market? No. We had to really move at the speed of science to really understand what is taking place in the market.
If you saw Labyrinth, oh, you need your vaccine, but you need this. I don't need this. It's all junk, just like Pfizer's shit. Now,
they wanted to keep you out of restaurants in New York. They wanted to keep you from traveling in countries around the world with a vaccine passport. They wanted to make sure that you couldn't go to your job.
14-day quarantines in Canada.
If you didn't have the vaccine, they made you the enemy.
Yeah.
It's a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Yes, and we'll get into it, but this is just claim in the truth. Or if they're going to go after Alex Jones to the tune of $1 billion, okay, hey, are we going to look back in time? Because Pfizer's had to pay out many, many billions of dollars in damages. We're going to look back and say, oh, man, maybe you should have done some more testing. Can I say that on YouTube? And by the way, this brings us to our other points. It's not just Alex Jones. It's you. We have the vaccine issue, and I can't even, by the way, cite if there happen to be any complications for anyone. I cannot even mention VAERS. I cannot even mention the study with hundreds of thousands of people. We're not allowed to talk about that on YouTube. Why? Because the government has a meeting with people at YouTube, Meta, and Twitter and says you're not allowed to discuss this. It's misinformation, which brings us to PayPal. They just released a new policy last week saying that they would fine users $2,500 for expressing misinformation. Then they said it was an error. Now, keep in mind, this wasn't, we'll just remove you.
Right.
We'll take your money.
Out of the bank account that's linked to us already.
Exactly. Not to us. I've long since been removed from PayPal, I believe.
You know, them.
They only apologized for the error after the stock cratered, saying, PayPal is not fining people for misinformation, and this language was never intended to be inserted into our policy. We're sorry for the confusion this has caused. Yeah, this wasn't a rumor on Twitter. This wasn't just something that was being posted on Facebook memes, and that happens both on the left and the right where it's wrong. This was in their policy. So they're saying there was an error in that it was inserted into the policy. Are they held liable for that? Also, PayPal wants to dictate what you can and cannot say, what you can and cannot do. Because not only did they begin banning the purchasing of firearms in 2020, but also ammo. Hey, here's another thing. It's perfectly legal to do. And when the left says we support responsible gun ownership, wouldn't PayPal want to take part in that and ensure that people are legally purchasing firearm accessories and ammunition as opposed to cash-only purchases? They always say we want to support law-abiding gun owners. No. These entities, they're not trying to dictate what you say. They won't let me purchase ammo. And by the way, they've shut out a lot of competitors. They want to be the only online form of currency, right, in the future. And of course, they have the backing of the government in many ways. If you look at the subsidies that they've had in the tax breaks. No. You can't purchase ammo. I'm a competitive shooter. Doesn't matter. PayPal says no. Let's go to California, the state. Doctors can now be disciplined as well for spreading misinformation. I'm sure like PayPal was just inserted into their law as an accident.
Oops.
Here's from the Wall Street Journal. California Democrats last month enacted legislation that empowers the state medical board to discipline doctors licensed in the state who, quote, disseminate misinformation or disinformation that contradicts the, quote, contemporary scientific consensus.
What?
Yes, the contemporary scientific consensus that says the vaccine stops transmission, despite the fact that the Pfizer CEO just said no, and the contemporary scientific consensus that says that penis hanging between your legs is a figment of your imagination.
I didn't think science was up for a vote. I didn't think we had to come to a consensus.
Science isn't determined by consensus. Science is determined by what is true.
It's science.
Peter
What
McCullough.
could eventually be true based on testing.
Exactly. But you can't overly weigh consensus in science.
No.
These guys, they say that the sun is actually orbiting around the Earth. We'll get into that, by the way.
Because we kept hearing it's practicing medicine. Remember, that was the reason why it was like, oh, that guy died.
Yeah. Well, my doctor didn't even. He was like scrimmaging.
Yes. He was skipping practicing medicine.
Exactly. He's like, I'm a game day player. Don't worry about this.
It's fine.
I'm a clutch doctor.
I'm good.
Here's another example. Dr. Peter McCullough. He was permanently banned from Twitter. He was on our show a long time ago. Maybe we should have him back. And he's a renowned cardiologist. He's been cited for many, many years for, quote, by the way, violating community rules on Twitter. How many doctors were removed for saying, hey, the vaccine, we don't have evidence that the vaccine maybe stops transmission effectively? Not saying it doesn't, for people who said we don't have evidence that it does. That is a statement that is irrefutable. We absolutely do not have evidence that it does. And I know that McCullough has tweeted about that ad nauseum, has talked about it ad nauseum, and by the way, has something to lose. Has something to lose doing that. When you're always supporting the big guys, this is the big myth, too, that the left says, oh, Republican, it's the corporate overlords. You guys are supporting Pfizer versus a family practitioner. You guys are supporting the White House versus a guy with a radio show. You guys are supporting J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America versus Kanye West and people who are running for local districts. All the big companies in the world, at a certain point, you just go, wait a second. All the worst people on earth, the Bezoses, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Wojcicki's, they always want us to vote for the left. Shouldn't that raise some flags? While we're talking about this, J.P. Morgan Bank, Wednesday, Chase, for those of you who don't know, they sent Kanye West letter of cease and desist, a letter of cease and desist. I love how they wrote, Dear Ye.
I know. I was like, oh, good. Refer to him by that.
Dear Ye.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would hold up in court.
Dear Ye, dear Ye.
What if they said, like, Dear Mr. West, and you sent it back? He's like, use my name. Ha, ha.
Yeah.
My name is not Ye anymore.
Yeah.
You can't kick me out.
Dear Jesus.
How do you know you were banned? How do you know you were banned from Chase Bank? Yeezy taught me.
Ye shall not pass.
So, dear Ye, we are sending you this letter to confirm our recent discussion that J.P. Morgan Chase Bank has decided to end its relationship with Yeezy LLC and its affiliate entities. We ask that you act promptly to transfer your business to another financial institution before November 21st, 2022. Again, full backing of the government.
Well, that's fine. It just put $1 billion in a mattress.
Yes, exactly.
A very large mattress.
Go start your own bank. We'll get into this. Go start your own bank.
Yeah.
Go start your own Facebook. Go start your own YouTube. I'll get to that. Let me just run through this. Right after the Alex Jones verdict, now we go from private companies to the White House. Jen Psaki, remember who was objective?
Oh, yeah, the bitch.
Now she tweeted out last night, the damage Alex Jones has done to the lives of these families is horrific. I just imagine that's what she does.
Probably.
She's like moving cupboards and shit. Nearly $1 billion doesn't solve their pain, but also true that the end of InfoWars would be a public service.
Sorry. You said moving cupboard. I just pictured when you open the fridge, she's Zool.
I am the keymaster. Are you the bitch keeper?
Yeah, just her walking around her apartment, opening everything with her eyes.
Yes.
Like on the phone, but dinner's being made over here because she's a ghoul.
She's
Sorry,
like bewitched, but she twinkles. She just like twitches her nose, and a child dies.
Yeah, you just see a baby get burned.
She just winks. She's like, SIDS. Now.
Oh, jeez. It's turned dark.
It's how the press conferences ended so abruptly. Who do I kill in the room?
There's a lady breastfeeding, and there's just a cloud of smoke. She's like, oh, sorry, I winked.
Oh, I gotta go. Sorry.
So here's the thing, too. All of these moves are subsidized by the government. Okay, this is the problem. They're not just private companies. Certainly not the banks. Certainly not PayPal. Certainly not YouTube, Facebook. Right? There's nowhere to go. A few you can fight back, like we said. Rumble. Would love to see that number today. Just boom. I don't care. I'd love to see that number right now, like Edward Rooney's attendance computer on YouTube. Go boop, 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 and Rumble go boop, 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 boop. Grace! That's what I would love to see right now. So in February 2022, Psaki, right now she's saying it's a public service to end this broadcast. That's worse than what Stalin said. He just said the press in general was the enemy of the people. Jen Psaki said the press needs to pay billions of dollars, and it's a public service to end this man. So 2022, she pleaded with tech companies to actively censor dissenting views.
Our hope is that all major tech platforms and all major news sources, for that matter, be responsible and be vigilant to ensure the American people have access to accurate information on something as significant as COVID-19. That certainly includes Spotify. So this disclaimer, it's a positive step, but we want every platform to continue doing more to call out mis and disinformation while also uplifting accurate information.
By the way, the reason she has a podium is because there's no legs.
Just hovering, yeah.
So Spotify is a detergent.
Yes.
The guy who owns it's very upset.
Yes. Saki, the bitchy ghost.
Psaki.
Psaki.
It's there, I'm pronouncing it.
Sounds like something I left in the bowl the last 3 days.
It does. Yeah.
Something you'd pick up in
sound like that.
Paraguay.
It's worse.
Crawl into your ear. So,
That's
okay.
what backsplash should be.
Right.
It should be called Plasaki.
Saki. So we have the White House saying, hey, please, Spotify, please, YouTube, please remove these points of view that we don't like. And by the way, if they could get Rogan, they would. If they could have nailed us, they
tried.
would.
They tried.
Yeah. They tried. They've tried with us. The only reason we survive is because of Mug Club, by the way. You notice we don't have 20 minutes of sponsors in every show, and we'll never do it. That'll never happen. We're funded by viewers like you, not actually subsidized by the government or a foreign caliphate like some of our competitors. So the 2008 financial crisis, by the way, the banks received over $200 billion in bailouts. And, of course, that's a low number, but J.P. Morgan Chase alone received $25 billion. The bank is insured by the government, meaning insured by you. Here's my question. If the bank basically can only operate, because they can never have a sustainable business model, they can only operate on your tax dollars, they effectively now are a wing of the government. They're a strong arm of the government. Should they be allowed to deny you your fundamental basic human rights? While we're talking about private business, man, hey, go start your own bank. You can't. There are credit unions. Hey, go start your own YouTube. You can't because of Section 230. Let me give you an example. Okay. And I'm incredibly grateful, and I mean that. I'm humbled every day by how many of you tune in. I cannot thank you enough. We compete with the likes of everyone out there as far as late night. It's kind of late night in the morning, right? This used to start out as a late night show. You guys said it's too late, so we moved it to the morning. It's basically a late night show. Okay, we compete with all of them. If someone were to say, well, if you don't like all these late night shows, go create your own. Only all the late night shows had $2 trillion from the government. And those late night shows, because they were being funded, subsidized, or insured by the government, you, the taxpayer, could also dictate the terms, the community guidelines on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Go create your own platform. You can't. I'm using that as an example. You cannot compete against a business that has a never-ending supply of federal funding. Hope you love Vanguard. Hope you love BlackRock, because your socialist light powwow chow broad, Elizabeth Warren, also wanted to deem them too big to fail. Looking out for you? Anyone who says any company is too big to fail is not looking out for you. These too big to fail companies, what that really means is the government gets to tell them what to do. And then they get to remove you. So you can't bank, you can't speak, and, hey, if everyone got pushed onto PayPal or some form of standardized digital currency, you also can't purchase firearms or ammunition. It's not illegal. The government's not making it. They're not infringing on your rights. You just can't do it because these companies say so. Well, hold on a second. Well, those companies wouldn't be in business because half the country wouldn't support them. Well, it doesn't matter if you want to support them or not. Your tax dollars do. It absolutely is a First Amendment issue. It absolutely is. This is not an issue of private businesses. So you can talk about Alex Jones all you want, but do you want to talk about Kanye West? Do you want to talk about Dr. Peter McCullough? Do you want to talk about all of the shows that have been removed here online because of a few key companies who, by the way, receive favorable treatment from the government? Let's try and take the blinders off and not just see this through the lens of I disagree with what so-and-so or whomever said. Because the left is very good at creating a mob, right? They all fall under one umbrella, and they'll make sure that they target you. And because you're free thinkers on the right, it's hard. The term has been used, it's like herding cats. Let's not herd cats with this one. Whether you're a libertarian and all you care about is Bitcoin and weed, or you're, by God, Mitch McConnell's fan. Anyone out there, let's make sure that we are unified in this. No one needs to pass a purity test of agreeing with everything that we agree with for us to just say, hey, they have the right to say it. They have the right to say it. They have the right to engage in commerce. Doesn't mean that they have to be your local senator. Can we all unify under that? Can we all unify? This is a test today. Can we all unify under the fact that this is egregious, what's happening with Alex Jones? Can we all do that? I'll tell you, because I see a lot of silver linings. But if I don't see that today, I'm going to be disappointed in all of us. We should be able to do that. Do we have him? I believe we have him. All right. We now are going to go to, I believe we have him on the line. And if you can hear me, Alex, we also have Mug Club Extended, so please don't get me removed from YouTube. It's time for Alex Jones. Mr. Jones. Oh, okay, I see that smirk. What were you saying? Was that a dirty joke?
No, I said I'm really jealous of that shirt. I'm going to rip it off and make my own copy.
Well, I can just send come on now. Well, then I want you to pay me. That is the coolest
shirt. That is the coolest shirt I've seen yet. Absolutely. But what you're talking about is absolutely true. And I'd love to give everybody the inside baseball, what really happened with the case, how it's a precedent setter, and where it's going. Because
Alex, hold on. Just 1 second, Alex, because I want to give you the floor, okay? And what's the best place? Because I know you have several sites. Is it Infowars.com still the best place for people to go?
Yeah, so they want to actually hear what we're saying and not edited clips or twisted derivatives, and they want to hear what the establishment is so scared of. Infowars.com, Infowars.com/show, and banned.video. And they see us like a Roman standard. Right. They want to capture and pull down and get control of. I am the Democrat deep state New World shoe toy.
I want to give you the toy. I know I want to give you the floor, but I think it's really important to set this up. And believe me, I'm going to let you run. You know me well enough. I'm going to let you run with this. But I want to set up something. For example, when I had Brian Callen on the show one time, and he was falsely accused of sexual assault, I spoke with Brian and I said, look, I'm going to lead this interview with, did you do it? And he said, no, off air. I said, Brian, you're going to say that on air, and I don't care what your lawyers tell you. If you didn't do it, say it. And so I want to lead this right now because I think this is pivotal. And we've done several multi-hour long shows, but for some reason this gets lost. And I want you to correct me if I have this wrong. So in 2017, as an example, because the narrative is Sandy Hook, you tormented the parents, you called them out by name, and you continually harassed them. From what I understand, and I have some quotes here in front of me, and I want you to tell me if I'm misquoting you, you admitted you were wrong, and you apologized. And I think that's key because they still want to go after you anyway. So 2017, you talked about an epiphany you had on Father's Day. You said, forgive me, on Father's Day, I want to reach out to the parents of the slain children at the horrible tragedy in Newtown, Connecticut, and give you my sincere condolences. You said that, right?
Yes.
Okay. You also said I'd also like to reach out to any of the parents who lost a child at Newtown to invite them to contact me to open a dialogue because I think it's really essential we do that instead of letting the mainstream media misrepresent things and really try and drive this nation apart. You said that, right?
Before they sued me.
Yes, before they sued you. And then in 2019 in a deposition you said, and I myself have almost like a form of psychosis in the past where I basically thought everything was staged, even though I've now learned a lot of times things aren't staged. And I'm not saying this to embarrass you, Alex. I'm saying it because you were clear in that you had a change of heart, or you believed that you were wrong, or you believed you made a mistake, which I think is admirable. And I think the fact that they want to browbeat you after that is what is so scary. And I think that people out here would do well, if you're watching, to understand that apologies do nothing with these monsters. You also said, so I think as a pundit, someone giving an opinion, that, my opinions have been wrong, but they were never wrong consciously to hurt people. So do I have this right in saying multiple times you said you were wrong and you apologized in one fashion or another? And by the way, both before and after being sued. Would that be a correct statement for me to make, Alex?
I said I believe Sandy Hook happened in 2016.
Right.
I said it in 2015. And this is important. It's a lot bigger than Alex Jones. It's the anatomy of the left. It's like with George Floyd or something, taking something and then blowing it up to be the biggest thing on earth. It's like you can take a microscope and zoom in on a grain of sand and it looks like the Himalayan mountains, but it's not really. So here's what really happened.
Yes.
Here's what really happened. I can give you the latest information where they're going with it. This is going to affect everybody, and thank you, sir. Okay, Sandy Hook happens. It's a huge political event. Obama has it with the White House. It's going on. I think maybe somebody helped the kid kill these kids. The whole story's bizarre. And then about a year after it, all these professors and people that sounded credible come out, and school safety experts, and say that they thought it was just completely staged. And I'd seen things like Operation Northwoods that talked about staging attacks on school kids that didn't exist as a pretext for war with Cuba and Russia. So I said, yeah, a lot of stuff's been staged. Maybe this is. So I did 4 or 5 programs from like 2000 and I guess 13, 14, questioning maybe that it was staged. Barely a blip on the radar. It was a huge internet issue. Hundreds of millions of views on YouTube, other people's videos. My listeners wanted to know. My crew wanted to cover it. They wanted to talk about it. So what they put in evidence against me was about 24 minutes in Texas, about 25 minutes in Connecticut. In 10 years, this is the big evil stuff. The guy that got rich off Sandy Hook, the guy that wears Sandy Hook underwear, the guy that prays 5 times a day to New Haven, Connecticut. I mean, my mother didn't give birth to me. Sandy Hook did. I mean, my whole life is this, okay?
Right.
But it's not. So Hillary and the Democrats start running this false news campaign during 2016 campaign that I'm Trump's brain. They look at this flamboyant, wild guy. He's a populist. He's got a lot of people supporting Trump. Let's make him a liability. Let's take the worst stuff he said out of context and run tens of millions of TV ads against Trump using Alex Jones saying he's Trump's brain.
And one thing, just to make really clear, is just, again, for the YouTube gods, you understand how this is, Alex. You were talking.
They'll lie and say I'm saying it didn't happen again.
No, but they'll say that what you were saying because you saw this, and there were other people, there were other professors, there were other conspiracy theorists, some of whom turned out to not be credible, and then you didn't have them on your show anymore. You did say maybe this is staged, and just again to be clear, you afterwards said, no, it was not staged. I was wrong. You did correct it, right, Alex?
Yes. But it's important to understand this timeline.
Yeah.
So for over a year and a half, from 2015 into 2016, we've checked the record. I never talked about it one time. And I told the crew, this is a tar baby. It's a setup. I don't want to ever discuss it again. I think it happened. We started seeing that some of the folks that were claiming it was staged had gone even crazier, and we're now dysregulating and showing that indeed they had put out things that were wrong. So I was not the Sandy Hook guy. It didn't put me on the map. I barely ever covered it. But Hillary blows it up, makes it a cause celeb for Democrats. They use it to bring back all the gun control and now attacks on free speech and to attack Trump. And so then Trump wins. They go even crazier. And they start attacking me, saying he's sending people to the kids' houses. He's sending people to the parents' houses. He won't stop saying it didn't happen. And I'm like, I said years ago it happened. Stop it. This is a media event they're building up, obviously, to come after the First Amendment. So I issued dozens of corrections, dozens of apologies. You just mentioned one of them there. And then they sue me in 2018. And then they do all this discovery. We give them all the emails, all the text messages, everything. There's no evidence we made money on Sandy Hook. There's no evidence I premeditatedly got it wrong on purpose. And so both Democrat-connected judges, one of them is supposedly a Republican, but she's like George W. Bush, they default me saying
Oh, we lost Alex for a second. Alex, can you hear me, brother? This is clearly the globalists.
He's told I'm guilty. The jury's told I'm guilty. I'm not allowed in a 5-week trial in Connecticut to defend myself. The judge actually says, you can't say you're innocent. You can't say you're bankrupt. You can't say you didn't make money off of it. I say it's all true. And then they instruct the jury after 5 weeks of crying parents, not talking about Adam Lanza killing their children, talking about me.
Well, I know that, Alex, but let me ask you a couple of important questions here, because I think these are things that people, and I know you have I believe you have a highlight, or are we going to roll the highlight? The one that, you had something you wanted to show us a clip. But look, I think it's important to note, first off, let me ask you questions. If you could just give me yes or no's on this, and I want to give you the floor again.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever call the parents out by name on air and say that they were their children, like call them out by name on air?
Only Robbie Parker.
Okay. And afterwards,
and I did not say that he staged it or it was fake. I said people think this clip was like 30 million views on YouTube or more.
Right.
It was a viral clip. People say this guy looks fake. And so I said, yeah, it does look like acting to me, but he's, under stress, whatever. So they've built this mountain out of a molehill.
Right. I have one other question too.
Years and years. Yeah, yes. They gave an FBI agent who I'd never seen till he sued me, didn't know who he was. He gets up there and cries about me. They gave him $90 million when under federal and state law, you can't sue somebody you've never said their name for defamation or slander. Never said his name, never asked for a retraction until he sued me. Didn't even know who he was till I saw his name on the lawsuit. He gets $90 million.
Well, let me ask you another follow-up.
Oprah Winfrey's handing out, you get a car. It's like, yes. You get...
Well, I do have a question that's important here because people will say, well, the reason you weren't allowed to defend yourself is it was a default judgment. And they say because you didn't provide the evidence, right, that was requested in discovery. Give me very specifics, not just all. You did provide and hand over a lot of evidence. What did you hand over? Because they did have financials. They did have, certainly in the Texas trial, they did have access to financials. They did have access to certain traffic metrics. When I was watching the trial, they would say, well, actually, they didn't hand over, for example, the Alexa reportings as opposed to the Google Analytics reportings. What kind of evidence, when you were asked to hand over, just give me some examples of what you did hand over. Did you hand over financial documents as it related to the company?
Yes.
Did you hand over documents as it related to, different traffic and revenue streams to some degree or another?
To an extreme degree, the most ever given over in a civil defamation trial, many lawyers estimate. Stephen, let me be 100% clear.
So what are they saying you didn't provide is my point. Because this is something a lot of people who unfortunately on the right, Alex, this is important. I'm just saying this because people will try and take this out of context. People on the right will say, well, then you should comply during discovery. What in the fuck are they claiming you didn't provide so that you were not allowed to defend yourself?
All right, let me answer that question, and I want to get into people saying, oh, this is just for Alex Jones. In Texas, they claimed that because we did so much discovery, and they would have each person that they were deposing give them more discovery, so they'd say, out of the 200,000 emails you gave us in Texas, in one of the discovery batches you gave us, there was one extra email that wasn't in this batch. Little weird gotcha games. Mm-hmm. And then in Connecticut, the judge kept saying, give me the Google Analytics. Well, we hardly ever even used Google Analytics, hardly ever even looked at it.
Yeah.
So we explained to the judge, ma'am, it's a search box for the back end of Google, and a lot of it you have to pay for. We've never paid for it. We've barely ever used it, but we searched for Google Analytics and found one writer and one other person in the group that had looked at Google Analytics and said, oh, look how much traffic we're getting a few times. So we gave them what we had in our system about Google Analytics. Take Alexa, same thing. They said, give us the Alexa. Well, Stephen, I want you to give me the Google. And then I say, and then you say, okay, what do you want me to search in Google?
Right.
No, sir, give me the Google.
Right.
Give me the Alexa. We know you've got it. So they followed this unfair trade practices thing that not only did I lie about Sandy Hook on purpose to make money, as they falsely claimed, but that I was making all this money with those lies in unfair trade practice and then demonized me selling my own products. So that's really where we are. And for people out there that say, hey, this is just for Alex Jones, so what? It's the same Republicans 4 years ago when I got deplatformed that said it would never be President Trump or would never be them. They admit, the Democrats admit, they're on PBS, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, CNN, celebrating, and they've been doing it for years, saying, once we set the precedent to let government bureaucrats like this FBI agent sue somebody when no one's even ever said their name just because they got heat in public over, say, election fraud, now they can sue you and get $90 million. And here is the Secretary of State in Texas. I've got the article right here in my stack saying Alex Jones unleashed hell. This is a Republican on us during the election. He caused threats to our election officials. I didn't contest the 2020 Texas election. I didn't even cover that. Project Veritas did. I should have covered it more. The point is that I'm now the whipping boy or the reason America doesn't trust the government or the reason the American people don't trust the media. And now the Secretary of State of Texas is talking about we may have to go after Alex Jones because he caused threats on election officials. They have no statements. They don't have me saying be violent. I didn't even probably ever even talk about the Texas election other than saying I don't think Beto was as close as he said he was to Ted Cruz. So this is the absolute next level garbage and propaganda. In fact, overhead shot, I want to show people this. Texas Secretary of State Alex Jones unleashed hell on our election people. That's the Hill. Here's another one. Republican Texas election chief blasts nuts, peddling 2020 conspiracy theories, zooms in on Alex Jones. So just like they're suing everybody that questions election fraud or mail-in ballots, they never even sued me because I wasn't one of the main proponents of questioning the election like some of the more prominent people were who really got out there. I did have questions. It's my right to do it. But they're now just circling back going, okay, we just got this verdict. So now we're going to say Alex Jones made people question the elections. So now if you slip on a banana peel, or now if your car carburetor breaks down, or maybe you get cancer, it's Alex Jones's fault. So they're
most cars
setting
are
the
fuel
precedent.
injected now, but yes, the point remains.
Well, you know what I mean. That's why it's going to break down. It's an old car. It's an old carburetor.
Exactly. You have the OJ Bronco, not the new one that also breaks down. Hey, did you have a video you wanted to show, or is it us? Because we have trial highlights and we have the verdict being read, but I was told that you had a clip that you wanted to play when you came on. Do I have that?
Yes, Stephen, I really appreciate you, first off, having me on, having the courage to defend free speech. Let me actually get this out, and I'm sorry if I'm annoying. There's just so much here, and a lot of other points we haven't gotten to yet that I hope.
No, you're not annoying at all. I just want to make sure that I was told that you had a clip or a video.
Yes, let me describe this clip for you. Let me describe this clip. Okay, there's dozens of these in Texas and Connecticut. We have a compilation reel that's about 30 minutes long of them in front of the juries and at press conferences saying, take Alex Jones out. Never let him rebuild his platform again. And once we take him out, we're going to take out all the right-wing disinformation operatives like Tucker Carlson, and the list goes on and on. So this is the weaponization where they sue you in Democrat jurisdictions, where they default you claiming that you didn't give them evidence. They tell the jury you're guilty, and then the jury decides how guilty after you've been demonized. So that's just what happened in Connecticut. So here they are yesterday, just a small clip at the press conference. Chris Maddy, the former federal prosecutor, up there, who had this kept controlled jury that was told I was guilty. And then he says, we don't want money from Alex Jones because I'm in bankruptcy.
Well, Alex, if it's in the clip, we can just watch the clip and let him say it. How long is it? Is it a minute? Is it 2 minutes? Just so I have an idea.
39 seconds.
39 seconds. All right, I want to run this, and then, no, you're not annoying at all. This is important, and we're going to spend as much time as we need to. I know you're busy, but this is important stuff, and I talked about it in the Cold Open Today show.
Appreciate it.
When you're ready, just roll. I guess you're rolling it from his end.
No, we'll roll it from our end then. Go ahead and roll it, guys.
All right.
But we will be at it as long as it takes. And if you're out there right now and you're one of Alex Jones's audience members and you're giving him money, I just want you to know that based on the jury's verdict today, it's not a very good bet. And to go back to what Robbie Parker said, all Alex Jones does is take from you, exploit you, lie to you, feed your fears and your anxieties and your mistrust. And the only person that benefits in that equation is him. Well, that stops. That's stopping today, thanks to the courage of these families. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
All right, so what he just said there is, we don't want money from Alex Jones. And I want to explain to listeners. We're going to appeal this.
Then they ask for money.
It's 100% going to get overturned.
Then they ask for money. We don't want the $900 million from Alex Jones, damn it. You can make that payable to cash.
Absolutely. So if I can, I'm chomping at the bit because there's so many angles to this, Stephen. Number one, I don't have $3 million cash in my company and my personal stuff. I have enough to operate and pay the bills and legal. I got a nice house, got decent cars, but I don't worship things. So that them trying to take money away from me means nothing, and it'll actually make me work harder to expose them. I'd work for free exposing them, so they're never going to silence me without killing me or putting me in prison.
Right.
And so that which doesn't kill me only makes me stronger. But they specifically say over and over again, they want me taken off the air. They want me bankrupt. Okay, so we're in Chapter 5, Chapter 11, Subchapter 5 bankruptcy that isn't liquidation. It's where we do a plan to the federal government. We say, okay, you can have the future profits towards all these lawsuits in the future in a 5-year plan. And there's not much profit around here, so my crew stays hired, we stay on air, it becomes a zombie organization is what they call it, because now any profit, but they're not allowed to fire people or do all that stuff. The operation continues on, the listeners support it, and then whatever extras there, they get paid. That's in 2 years at least, even if this isn't overturned on appeal. So they announce it's the end of Alex Jones, it's all over. It's all more hype, more fraud, more disinformation. So that's what they just did here. And I have more clips of them specifically saying,
can I ask you a
we
question,
want
Alex?
to take him out.
And I'm not trying to cut you off, but some of these questions are just because it's hard for me to find the truth, the answers on it. I know we talked about the cap.
Do.
We talked about the cap in Texas, right? On I believe it's is it punitive damages?
Yes.
Is there a cap in Connecticut, or are you, unless it is overturned on appeal, are you on the hook for the hundreds of millions of dollars?
The short answer is they lie and say I owe $50 million in Texas. It's about 5.6. There are caps. It's in the state law. They can't overturn it.
Right.
It's different in Connecticut. The Unfair Trade practices, or Cutmar, however they call it. That is unlimited, and that is up for the judge to decide. So she's going to come back next week and probably hit me with $1 billion more. So all the other ones do have caps, but because there's 15 plaintiffs, they're all capped at, I forget the number, like $4 million. So $10 million is more money that I can get them.
Of course.
$50 million is more. $1 billion, it's all a joke at this point. It's like saying, we're going to cut you into 20 million pieces. Well, if you cut me in 5 pieces, I'm going to die.
Right.
So they're like, we're gonna drop 25 nuclear bombs on Alex Jones's house. And I'm like, I think 1 nuclear bomb would probably kill me.
Probably.
So we're gonna shoot 20 million bullets into you instead of 5 bullets. So this is all overkill. It's just the left having a temper tantrum. They want to scare everybody else and get a bunch of other lawyers to file lawsuits to come after all the conservatives and all the nationalists and all the patriots. And I really appreciate you letting me get that out there, because it's so frustrating to be kind of only have my show that has a big audience, but it's compartmentalized because of censorship. It's very hard to actually get the truth out there.
No, it's not just censorship,
so people
Alex.
understand.
It's not just censorship. It's cowardice. You and I have had conversations, obviously off air, where I wouldn't say called you to that, but I've said I don't agree with this. I don't like that. Remember, I told you. I remember early on the show saying I don't like that you sometimes stir up infighting with conservatives. I remember you saying, you know what, I used to do that more, and I've decided the left is a more important enemy. We've had very strong disagreements. I felt compelled to have you on because some of the biggest figures in our movement, who, by the way, agreed with all of some of your quote-unquote conspiracy theories that I thought were incorrect, they didn't have you on. It is censorship. And it's cowardice from people on the right. And by the way, I've experienced that too. I've experienced that for jokes that then people on the right will take out of context. So my issue is not so much with the left being the left, right? It's like being mad that a crocodile bites you. I'm mad with people on the right who aren't doing it. Let me ask you, Alex, really, point blank. I know you talk about appeals. How scared are you right now?
I am way more scared about the direction the country's going in, if they admit this is a formula for everybody. I mean, while the right wing laughs, some of them, and says, oh, it's just Alex Jones, they're on every channel saying we're coming after everybody now with this model. And they've even got the Republican Secretary of State in Texas saying we want to come after Republicans that question election fraud. Give me a break. So you have the rhinos, the neocons, the rabid left allied together against the populist uprising of nationalist Americans who are peacefully trying to take our country back. So I'm way more concerned about nuclear war. I'm way more concerned about financial collapse. I mean, here's a good point, Stephen. Quite frankly, the way inflation's going, the way it accelerates towards Weimar Republic or Zimbabwe, in 10 years, there's such inflation, $1 billion will be like $1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, at the current rate we're at here, so
be like pesos.
No, I'm not scared. I am disgusted, and I really feel proud of myself because I've told the truth about this. I've said when I was wrong. They have created this whole synthetic identity for me, the straw man, and then they sat there and had to lie to a jury and suppress the truth and tell them I was guilty and rig this kangaroo court so I myself can hold my head tall. But I am in general very concerned for my children, for the country in the future, because of the rapid acceleration into total and complete corruption.
I know you have some other things you want to hit. I don't even know if we can probably show the clips on YouTube, but Gerald here, I know has a question for you. You can't see him, but he's champing at the bit. Gerald, yeah, please.
Yeah, so you said earlier that this is going to be overturned. Why do you think that it will be overturned? Not that you just have kind of this faith in that that's going to happen, but what are you guys arguing, if you can reveal that to us, on how it's going to be overturned?
Well, that's an excellent question. I have talked to dozens of very well-known constitutional lawyers. I can tell you Norm Pattis is a very well-known, successful lawyer around the country. He's talked to current and former judges in Connecticut and in New York, federal and state, that say this is the most insane craziness they've ever seen. The judge said in open court, I said this months ago because she'd done rules in limine and told us what I couldn't say. She said in court, can't say you're innocent. Can't say you barely ever talked about these people. Can't say you didn't make money off of it. Can't be political, but they could hold up magazines I put out exposing Obama, but then we couldn't respond back to it. She literally tied our hands and did this. So either America's gone and completely done, or in Texas and in Connecticut, if I have the money for the appeals, that's why they want to bankrupt us right now, because they are so scared that if there's any justice left at the Texas or the Connecticut Supreme Court or the U.S. Supreme Court, they've got to overturn this because the deep state, the ambulance chaser brigade are openly saying they're coming after everyone with this, just like when I got censored.
So are you saying that you think the people in the appeals court will see the gravity of it? Is that what you're saying, why you believe it'll be overturned?
I don't know if the fix is in that high, but I know that they've got their pound of flesh, they've demonized me, they brought back up Sandy Hook, they've made a bunch of money for their charities, they got $73 million from Remington. I mean, these dead kids are cash machines for these lawyers, okay? And now nobody knows who Adam Lanza is that killed the kids, they only know Alex Jones. And so... I'm sorry, what was the question, Stephen? I apologize.
No, I think you answered the question. Well, I think Gerald really wants to know, why do you believe it will be overturned? Do you think it's because they wanted to make an example of you, and then when it comes down to the actual constitutional law, it won't hold water? Is that why?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, well, they have to, or the country's over. I mean, you have to understand, when I say kangaroo court, when I say show trial, I mean, this has never before been done. A default's when you just don't even show up. We gave them everything, exhaustive, and then they let them use the discovery that they said we didn't give them to the jury. They could put on evidence. We couldn't challenge the evidence, and I couldn't testify. That's why I didn't testify when it was time for our, quote, case. It was only a hearing and damages. The judge found me guilty. Again, since when? Well, the judge knows best. They've never done that before. They can't do that. You know, if I was caught bank robbing, or something, and I ran off to another country, then you can have default judgments to say, take my house. Because I'm not there. There's video of me robbing the bank. I've left the country. They can sue. They can get the house. That's a default judgment. I was there. I participated. I did the depositions. I had my crew members go there. I spent millions of dollars on lawyers. But because there was no case there, they were forced to default because they decided I was this supervillain and they wanted to set this precedent. So yes, all the lawyers agree that if we file a good appeal with the hundreds of bad things they did, that it must absolutely be either partially or totally overturned. And if it isn't overturned, no, I'm not scared, Stephen, because I've said on air the truth. I have less than $1.5 million in my bank account. Sounds like a lot to the average working guy, and I get it. But with all my bills and crew and all this, that's on empty. My company has less than $1 million in it right now, and that's to buy product and pay payroll and fund our operation. So I never did this to make money. They had all these fake numbers. They had all our finances. They said he made $61 million last year. Our gross was $61 million. I paid myself $200,000 last year. It's all in the bankruptcy court. They know it. They know it's true. Was there a year that I paid myself $12 million? Absolutely. The year of the divorce with my ex-wife, 6 years ago, thank God it was the Trump era. For the first time ever, we had all this extra money right when she divorces me. It goes through the process, and the court made me pay her close to $10 million to, quote, buy her out of the company because I've been married to her for 13 years. So the 1 year God came through, the 1 year that because usually I make about $1 million, $2 million a year, but honest with my audience. And after all the bills and stuff and legal crap, it's gone. Of course. Okay, but I don't do it for money. The 1 year I made $12 million, God came through, magically the money came in to then buy my ex-wife out of the company. So again, they think, so it doesn't
Alex,
matter.
Can I point something out here?
$1 trillion judgment.
I want to say something here that's important because I see you and we all struggle with this, right? Where you're saying, because I know that people think that sounds like a lot of money. And it's sad that you even have to say, no, you don't do this just for the money, but you absolutely deserve to earn a living if you have millions of people who are listening and the amount of work that you put into it. I understand it. This is what I do here as well. Conservatives are the only ones, surprisingly, the people who support free enterprise, where we feel like because our audience is largely working class, you want to say, look, don't get mad at me because I make this money. Because there's a huge difference between 1 year making $12 million and a several $100 million judgment. You know who makes $12 million every single year? Colbert, Fallon. No one cares. And I just hope that people on the right don't use that as an attack. Well, you know what? Oh, maybe he'll go cry into his millions. That is not the point. And just for some inside baseball, for people who don't necessarily know, I want to corroborate some of what you're saying. Yeah, you can't prove that you didn't make money off of Sandy Hook. Just like I can't prove that I didn't make money off of that the guy who was fired from Vox, who started the Vox Adpocalypse. Why? Because this enterprise makes the only way that we make profit is people signing up because they want to hear what I have to say. And sometimes what I have to say involves a specific person. Of course, it would be hundreds of thousands of people if you were to look over the course of our entire program. But that gets pulled in and they say, you can't say that you didn't make money off of insert whatever story you covered here. We've had that happen on the website.
Absolutely. Well, let me be clear, Stephen.
Just to give you an example, just really quickly, we've had someone on the website sue because they say, well, this actually, we don't like this article that went up, and we want you to prove that you haven't made money off of it. And it's like, well, that article maybe had a few 100,000 views or something like that. I don't remember. I'm just giving you an example. I don't remember this specific example. And they were trying to say, so you make money. You make money off of this. Your whole company is making money off. No. They don't let you parse it. That's the lie. Because you were broadcasting, and the broadcast always makes money, and even when you were covering Sandy Hook. That's why they say, if you can't prove the separation of all the streams or any potential revenue generated while you were discussing the Sandy Hook issue, then you can't say that you didn't profit off of Sandy Hook. That's the argument. People need to understand it because we all struggle with it as business owners.
I totally agree, and I couldn't say it better. In fact, when you said it better. And this is the most important point I'm going to make here, and I got a few documents if I can show them to you that are really important that tie this all together. This is a major project for 6 years, 2 years before they sued me, and then now the last 4, with literally hundreds of articles a week, sometimes thousands. Every major news channel from HBO to PBS to Fox even attacking me over Sandy Hook and building it up into this giant controversy when I was not the Sandy Hook man to set the precedent with the Alex Jones precedent to shut everybody else down. Now let's talk about this being the biggest defamation judgment in U.S. history by an order of at least 10 magnitude. If I can have an overhead shot here. Damn, I wish the survivors of Epstein received $965 million. Exactly. Good point on Twitter, Eliza. Think about that real quick.
Why the triangles?
We still don't know the names. Exactly. We still don't know. We still don't know the names of the Johns. Here's another good point. Purdue Pharma, that knew OxyContin would addict people and kill them by the thousands, have to pay $634.5 million on the $10+ billion they made profit in the OxyContin case. Alex Jones killed no one, ordered to pay $965 million for Sandy Hook lies.
And I don't think anyone is blowing somebody in an alley because of their addiction to colloidal silver.
Absolutely, they're not. Here's another one. The largest fine paid by a banking executive responsible for the 2008 financial crisis was $67.5 million. Jury says Alex Jones pays $965 million. Here's another one. Yes, from a lawyer, Viva Frei. Yes, except for O.J. was found guilty of the actual deaths of 2 victims after a trial. That was a civil trial. Whereas Alex Jones was found guilty of making false statements about people who were murdered by someone else without a trial. So O.J. pays $33.5 million. I pay $900+ million, and it goes on.
Yeah, but O.J. was
so
innocent.
What's going to happen? Absolutely, he was found innocent by the criminal, but guilty by the civil. So when are they going to sue MSNBC for some of the lies that were done? I want $1 million. My feelings are hurt by their lies, and it just goes on from there. But those are some really important points.
No, I think these are important points. And you know what? I think we actually have some questions from. Do we have some questions from the audience? If you're okay taking a couple, and then we'll go to Mug Club.
I want to take them. Can we play that one other clip that's about a minute and a half long of the lawyers saying, "Shut him down, silence him"?
Yeah. Do you have it? Do you want to play it from your end?
We have it. We're going to go ahead and roll that clip now. Here it is.
Thanks, brother.
I ask that with your verdict, you not only take Alex Jones' platform that he talks about away, I ask that you make certain he can't rebuild the platform. That's what matters. Take him out of this discourse, of this misinformation, of this peddling of lies, and make sure he can't do it again. That is punishment. That is deterrence.
But somewhere out there right now is another family getting their kids ready for school, fixing their lunches, going to work, thinking about picking their kid. And there's going to be a day when that child doesn't come home from school. And we know it, and it's sad, and that's reality. And the question is going to be, where is Alex Jones when that happens? Is he in the studio? Getting ready to pounce? Or will you stop him?
Someone get him that infomercial spray hair.
That's going to be in your case. And when we get all done with all the evidence, we're going to come back and we're going to ask this stuff. Because that's what justice is in this case.
And there's many other clips of them saying, we want him off air. We don't want money for the plaintiffs. We want to silence his future speech. So even a murderer goes and does their jail time, gets out in 20 years. But no, they're saying keep him deplatformed, bankrupt him, shut him down, and don't send him money because we don't want money to the plaintiffs because they don't want me to have money for the appeals because they know there's a 98% chance this crap gets overturned, Stephen.
Well, you know what else they're doing? This is something else they're doing that people don't fully discuss, is they want to make other people afraid to even work with or for you. Makes it impossible for you to hire, right? That's what they tried to do. They tried to do that with me to a lesser scale. It's harder to do with a comedian because they would try and run jokes. But what they're trying to do is also make it impossible for you to even recoup these losses. I mean, we do have to remember, it's not just Alex Jones. You have many employees there. So some of them are great. Some of them are assholes. But a lot of them are great. But this is the thing, is they want to make sure, we all have them, right? I have some here. The Yakuza, he pisses me off half the time, but I love him. They want to make it impossible for you to do, but this is your livelihood. Now, I want to take, if we can, I'd like to, and that is bone chilling.
Yes, sir, I got all the time in the world. Really appreciate you having me.
Okay, so we'll take a couple of chats here, and then I'll have to go to the bathroom. I've been drinking Gatorade. I had a horrible stomach virus. Be careful out there right now. It's going through Texas like a buzzsaw. Tokunawa, let's grab a couple of questions from the audience here that we usually only do on Mug Club, but it's a special occasion.
Yeah, our Mug Club viewer Jerry has a question for you, Alex. What do you feel was an appropriate penalty for what you said?
Nothing. It's better that 10 guilty men go free than one innocent man be prosecuted or persecuted. They got rid of my due process. The judge found me guilty. They lied about it all. They hyped up what I said. They exaggerated it. I never sent people to their houses. It's a lie. They're setting a precedent to steal your rights, not just your rights to listen to what you want to listen to and make your own decisions. They're literally setting this up to come after the general public. An FBI agent that I never saw, never covered, never said his name till he sued me. He admitted it on the stand, was given $90 million because some people on the internet thought it didn't happen. I didn't create the story that it didn't happen. I covered it.
Right.
And so a man's getting $90 million. He won't get it.
Right.
Doesn't exist. He's getting $90 million of this made-up mad money, this monopoly money, when I never said his damn name. Folks, that's tyranny. That's dangerous.
And also, it's important when you'll get a lot of people on the left saying, oh, the right has a double standard because what about Nick Sandmann and CNN? What about Kyle Rittenhouse? They said his name. The president of the United States had an advertisement, had an ad that went out that associated Kyle Rittenhouse specifically with white supremacy. They said Nick Sandmann was mocking somebody, this poor Native American, Nathan Phillips, as I prefer my Native Americans to be called. Nathan Phillips. They said, yeah, he was mocking Nathan Phillips and he was stirring up the crowd. They did call out these people by name, and these people had to hire security, and these people had to go into hiding. There is a difference. You did not do that, and they did it repeatedly. They did it all day and all night, not to mention what preceded Kyle Rittenhouse was the media drumming up actual hatred and
that's right. Violence. And they never showed any evidence I sent people to harass people or anything. Of
course not.
It was always what somebody else did.
Right. Whereas what happened is Kamala Harris said they're not going to stop, and they should not stop when answering riots. She said they should not stop the riots. The mayor of Seattle said, no, this is a summer of love. We support what they're doing. And then the media said Kyle Rittenhouse is a white supremacist who killed innocent protesters. They didn't mention the fact that it was a pedophile with a raging erection in a hospital bag. Let's Tokunawa, grab one more question, and then we'll take it to Mug Club. And when we go to Mug Club, I'm going to have to go. I've been drinking Gatorade all morning. Go relieve myself, Alex. But Gerald will take the chair for like 2 minutes. One last question here, Tokunawa.
Okay, Mug Club viewer Taylor Kohler wants to know, if people only knew one true thing about you, Alex, among all these lies, what would it be?
That was going to be my last question.
I mean, look, I'm a real person. I've got a lot of information. Sometimes I'm a little bit obnoxious because I'm trying to get through it all, like here today. And I really appreciate Stephen and the crew being so gracious so I can have a place to tell the truth. And I appreciate your courage because you do get attacked for having me on. And just this is our rights being taken. This is a Hollywood production. I'm not saying Sandy Hook didn't happen. I'm saying the production of what I supposedly did and how big it became. And you know, this huge event. I'm not the Sandy Hook guy. I'm the guy that wrote the #1 best-selling book in the world, The Great Reset and the War for the World. That's why the globalists hate me, is because I'm exposing their corporate worldwide tyranny. I'm exposing groups like PayPal that are back, by the way, saying, if we don't like what you say, we're going to fine you $2,500. I'm opposing their authoritarianism. I'm a populist. I'm a champion of the people. And folks can actually hear the real Alex Jones at Infowars.com, Infowars.com/show, or band.video. Go see the real live show. Go see the archives. Go see the guest. Go find out what I'm actually saying instead of little bitty twisted, edited excerpts that the corporate media puts out. And understand, the globalists see InfoWars is the flag they want to capture. They're more obsessed with it than anything else out there right now, because when the globalists tune in, they get scared, because I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the mechanics of the New World Order.
Final question, then we're going to go to Mug Club and take some more chats. What's the next step? What are you doing here next, Alex? What's the game plan?
Well, that's a really great question. My biggest enemy is myself. I am absolutely exhausted. I'm burnt out. I drink too much. I haven't smoked in 14 years under the stress. I took up smoking again. Going out and watching comedy and hanging out with Joe Rogan. There's a lot of cigarette smoking going on.
I don't think that's cigarette smoke.
No, I've done a little bit of the marijuana smoke too, but I don't smoke a lot of it. But yeah, I smoke pot like once a month or something. Usually when I'm at a comedy club or go see a movie. Every time I hang out with Joe, we smoke some pot. But so sometimes I guess twice a week, but I haven't hung out with Joe that much lately. I've been too busy. But there's some days we've gone out like twice a week and get stoned, but a little bit of fun stuff there. But long story short, I need to take some time
your game plan, Alex. I didn't ask your hobbies.
Anyways. Well, I mean, it's a little bit of a name drop to all the trendy liberals that think they're trendy and think they're cool and love the police state and hate free speech. I'm the real rebel. InfoWars is the vanguard. So is Steven Crowder. We are the rebels. We are the outlaws. We are 1776. We are the counterculture, not them. And they can't stand that. And so that's what I want people to know. We are the counterculture. Steven Crowder is the counterculture. The listeners and viewers of these shows that support independent media are the future of not just America, but the world. And people can find out what all the stinks about at Infowars.com.
So it sounds to me like what you're saying, your next step is, and Alex, you know I have a lot of love for you, but sometimes it is tough to get you to answer a question. I think you're saying
right. Well, here's
your next
problem.
step is you need to get some rest, is what you're saying, right? Your game plan is some rest, recoup, and come back. Not come back.
Listen, I'm more ADHD when I'm totally exhausted. So I've done a lot of interviews, and I was up till 1 o'clock in the morning, and I apologize. My brain's gone right now. So yes, I realize this is what's coming next. I realize they want to take me out of the game. And I realize that I'm never going to quit now because they want to silence me, because this is a battle of wills. And I know it's the right thing to do. But I also understand that if I take myself out of the game by being fried or burnt out, they win. So I am going to, in the next few months, do something I never do. I'm going to take off a week a month, starting at the end of this month, November and December. I may take off 2 weeks in December. I want my listeners to understand why I've got to do it, because I've got to rest. I've got to stop drinking. I've got to stop smoking. I got to go to church to recharge my batteries. I've got to take, my daughter camping. I've got to, go camping and shooting with my son and my other daughters. And so if you're asking what's happening, I'm going to recharge my batteries, get back to family, get back to God, and come back in 2023 harder than ever.
You know what? That sounds like a plan, because a lot of people know this has been a year and a half for me since the surgery. There have been some complications that people will never fully know about. And you need to treat yourself as someone you want to take care of. But you know what? You just mentioned something. Hey, when's Rogan going to have you on his show? Why aren't you doing his show today?
I don't want to be mean to Joe. Joe told me last time I was on the show was 2 years ago, and it was one of the biggest shows he ever did with. Who was on the show with me? It was a great comedian, really funny. Yeah, Tim Dillon. And Joe's like, yeah, we'll have you on a couple months. And then, it's pretty obvious what's going on. Just a little too much heat for Joe to have me on, which is fine. He had courage about the vaccines. He's had courage about censorship. He's been criticizing the power structure, but he's not as hardcore as Steven Crowder, and I'll just say it. But at least he overall defends free speech, and I just don't think Joe can, handle it. We were out at dinner about a month ago, last time I hung out with him. And it's his pet peeve not to bring it up. And I just said, man, it really helped me with this upcoming court case, because the whole media is against me. If I could get on there and explain things. And he just said, Alex, you got, there's too much craziness going on. Let's just get through this. We'll talk about it later. So I'm not really worried about it. Obviously, I'm the big interview he'd want. He even said, listen, you're like nuclear weapons. It's a big deal to have you on, but I'm not worried about it. It's really a question for Joe. Because
no,
at the end
I
of the
know.
day,
I'm just asking because you talk about how you're hanging out with him, and not only if not him, he has a bunch of friends who could have you on. He has a whole podcast network. I don't really have that. You've been to our studio. It's really just me. I'd love to grow it eventually with other people and be able to throw more support behind folks. But right now it's me behind the desk.
On the courage scale, Steven Crowder's a 10, Alex Jones is a 10, and Joe Rogan's an 8. And I'll take an 8 all day over our enemies that are at a 0.
Of course.
And so I'm nothing but thankful to Joe for all the heat he's taken having me on.
Right.
And so I totally understand it. And you know what? I don't want to give out any inside baseball here, but I'm just going to leave it at this. I'll tell you off air if you want, but it's private. The very same people trying to silence me. I'm not going to get into it on air, but there's been some real harassment of Joe and stuff that's gone on.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know that's happened with him, and these people are, and I'm on that. I'm on that list as well. So I know we all deal with it, and it's not. That's why I say for people out there who are watching, if you're listening right now, by the way, on YouTube, please hit the like button, hit the share button. Leave a comment below because you won't find it in the algorithm. And I do ask that you join up at Mug Club. I do ask that you go or if you want to
just do the free thing. This is an information war.
It absolutely
People should
is.
be flooding you with funding. You're one of the only professional people doing top flight comedy and analysis. I mean, it's better than the production on like these late shows that have giant budgets, 20 times your budget. People should flood you with support and, more importantly, word of mouth, because I know that's the real currency we all want, is to override the censors and to win the info war. So absolutely, everybody should support Steven Crowder, who's got the 500-pound testicles.
Well,
Joe's only got 400-pound ones. Okay?
Well,
I admire Joe's balls. Okay.
Well,
but Steven, yours are bigger, and even more juicy.
Well, gosh, you did say you've been drinking too much, and part of that has to do with the fact that I have the under the cabinet microwave. I've learned my lesson. All right, hey, Alex.
No. I made a gay joke, so it goes viral, Steven. It's funny.
Yeah, and you said you have to recharge your batteries. Alex Jones is a robotic homosexual. All right, look.
Alex Jones talks about Steven Crowder's juicy balls.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. When do I get my 900 million? All right. Look, if you have to take you want to both take we're going to go to Mug Club here. You want to both take you probably need do you need a bathroom break? I've been going for 2 hours.
Well, here's the thing. A great one. I have my own show in 12 minutes. So let's take a 2-minute break.
Okay, you know what? We won't take a break. You know what? We won't take a break. We'll just go. We'll take 30 seconds. We'll go to Mug Club. It's Infowars.com. We'll ask a few more questions from the audience and have you go to your show.
I can go right up to the start of my show. I'm going to wrap the start of my show. So we got 12 minutes.
No, you need a couple minutes. But just remember, everything, even after this, everything's on air and live. So that's totally fine.
Kids, don't do this at school. Don't do this at school. Infowars.com. Don't visit it.
Right.
Don't visit it.
Don't visit it. And don't do that unless you want to look really cool. Okay, YouTube, piss off.